What's up, everybody? It's Greg from Sleepers Media. I'm not going to lie, the last 7 days without college basketball have felt a little bit like checking into rehab. I've taken up Scrabble. I'm not proud of that. I go on hour-long walks now. My bedtime has changed from 1 a.m. Eastern to like a prompt 9:30 head-on pillow reservation every single night. Don't get me wrong, a break is a little bit nice, a little bit of a deep breath. But if you're like me, you're itching for some late-night Mountain West battle between the 7th and 8th place teams in the conference to sprinkle a little bit of your hard-earned money on. And it's tough because we're not going to have another game like that for 7 more months, but that means we can move our attention to the next best thing, futures. This feels a little bit like throwing a dart with a blindfold on, but nonetheless, with enough mental fortitude, you can convince yourself that next year is the year for damn near every single team in the country. For today's video, I'm going to focus in on the 10 best values that I see on the futures board right now. All of these are according to DraftKings Sportsbook. I just picked that sportsbook. You can probably find different values or similar for all of these teams at basically any of the big sportsbooks. Here are my 10 best sorted into 4 different categories. Let's start with the long shots. The first one, the Florida Gators. I see them at 80-1 right now. They just had a big signing yesterday, Alex Fudge from LSU, former, I believe, 5-star recruit who really underwhelmed thus far in his career. They also got Richard from Belmont, a shooting guard I really believe in, who I think could potentially lead this team in scoring. Colin Castleton, their anchor in the paint, is back. Myron Jones is back. And most importantly, this is the Todd Golden era. He's the golden boy. I just trust Todd Golden, and I think there's a non-zero chance that he has the Brad Stevens magic as the wonder kid who's going to come in and just magically lift the team to a Final Four very quickly. I don't know for sure that that's going to happen. Could. I like the roster he's already built in just 2 weeks as the head coach at Florida. 80-1 seems like way too low a value for a team that if they're at the top of the SEC, that's going to jump massively midseason. Number 2 on my long shots, Florida State at 100-1. One of my favorite things to look for with futures as far as picking a national champion goes is high prestige recruiting classes that underwhelmed a little bit. Florida State last season had one of the best recruiting classes in the country, Jalen Worley and Matthew Cleveland. Worley never really had a good impact on the floor. Matthew Cleveland started to turn it on a little bit late in the season. Ultimately, it wasn't enough for them to make the NCAAB tournament. But I still believe in the talent level of that group. You add in a guy like John Butler, who we need to see what he's going to do next season. But if he returns with what he's shown versatility-wise as a shot maker and a shot blocker in the paint, that's a trio that could absolutely win the ACC next season. 100-1, crazy. It's a super long shot. Not saying it's going to happen, but it's worth sprinkling on because if they do make a run in the ACC, that value is going to drop tremendously, and you might have some good hedge opportunities if you're holding a ticket with 100-1. Next category, coaches that I trust that have had good off seasons so far. The first one, Alabama, the Crimson Tide, 28-1. Nate Oates, I make a lot of jokes about his most redeeming quality being the fact that he wears colorful suits. The truth is his most redeeming quality is the backcourts that he's built, the style of play that he does, and how he attracts the best guards in the country to come play there year after year. This year, he already got Mark Sears, the Ohio transfer, who I think is going to be a big-time scorer for Alabama next season. Damari Burnett's going to be back and healthy, hopefully. Noah Gurley, Charles Bediako could be back. They've got 5 stars coming in Jaden Bradley and Brandon Miller. No matter what Quinterly, Shackelford, and Davison do, there's going to be talent on this team to potentially win the SEC. 28-1, too low for a coach who at some point is going to start making Final Four runs. The second team in this category, Purdue, 45-1. I defended Matt Painter all year long. It's hard to do that after how his season ended in March. But the thing is, they're going to have Zach Edey back, I strongly believe. He's the most singular, unstoppable force in college basketball. I'm excited to see what Edey looks like when he's not doing a minute split with Travion Williams. I think he could be National Player of the Year good. They're also heavily in on some big guards in the transfer portal, Kendrick Davis and Nigel Pack being 2 of those. At one point, I heard they were the front runner for Nigel Pack. If they get a big-time scoring guard to pair with Edey, that might be the best 1-2 punch in the entire Big Ten, if not the country. Add in guys like Mason Gillis, Caleb Furst, who I think made big strides over the course of the season. I believe that Purdue is going to be really good, even without Jaden Ivey and Travion Williams next year. Honestly, maybe a little bit of a leap year when no one expects them. The expectations go down. Maybe the talent level or the puzzle piece togetherness goes up. I could see Purdue making a title run next season, 45-1, great value. Lastly, in this category, Illinois, 50-1. I make a lot of jokes about Illinois, how much I hate them, how much I hate their fan base. Here's the truth. I love everything Illinois is doing. Kofi Coburn, probably going to come back, as crazy as that sounds. Paired with Sky Clark, 5-star guard in the backcourt, paired with a bunch of other potential transfers. I say a bunch. Realistically, they only need like 1 or 2. But the thing is, Brad Underwood's throwing himself into the recruitment of every great transfer in the country. They might get Terrence Shannon. They might get Adam Miller back. Who knows? They were in it for Brandon Murray, the LSU kid, before he ended up choosing elsewhere. Coleman Hawkins is back. He has a leap to make. I just know that Brad Underwood's going to have this team at the top of the Big Ten year in and year out. At some point, that's going to overcorrect itself in March, and they'll have some success and make it beyond the first weekend. 50-1 in the offseason. If you give me that blindly for Illinois every year right now, I'll take it because I think they're consistently going to be a top 10 type team in the country. The next category, sophomore leaps. Couple recruiting classes I really liked as freshmen. One that underachieved, one that honestly overachieved, but I think have massive things in store for them. Let's start with the Michigan Wolverines, 22-1. Crazy to me that their odds are so much lower than Illinois', or I guess higher than Illinois'. The thing here is I think Hunter Dickinson's going to come back. They're going to put together an NIL package for him. He doesn't really have draftability right now, and he can make a lot of money with the personality, with the brand that he has in Ann Arbor. The question is, will Caleb Houston and Musa Diabate come back? I think at least one of them do. The latest buzz sounds like Diabate is more likely to return. Houston may be one foot out the door. But they're aggressively pursuing transfers. Terrence Shannon, going to name him again. Michigan's in on him. Who knows if admissions would let him in, but it was rumored that Terrence wanted to play at Michigan and that they were the favorite in that recruitment. They're also in on Sam Sessoms, the Penn State transfer. I think they're going to bring in a guy who can play 30 minutes of good basketball, probably at the 1 and the 2. Frankie Collins showed a lot of things when Devontae Jones went down with injury. I think next year could be the year people thought Michigan was going to have last season. They still made the Sweet 16. If they get Dickinson back, he's a first-team All-American if he plays to his ceiling. 22-1 could be good value for a team that's going to start the season as a fringe top 25 team. Second in this category, Creighton, 50-1. If their name was Villanova, with the players they bring back, they would be the consensus #1 team in the country. Kaluma, Nemo, Alexander. I had to take a pause for a second because those three are that good, and they're back. And I want to say no one expected it, but these were all like top 100 recruits last season. It's not shocking they had good years. It's shocking they were so good to make Creighton so competitive in the Big East in year 1. Kalkbrenner should also be back in the front court. Bottom line is this team's loaded. Mason Miller was a top 100 recruit as well. He redshirted last season, I believe. I think that he should end up kind of looking right in line with those other star freshmen they had, making a sophomore leap. If those guys improve at all, this is going to be a top 10 team in the country. Even if they don't improve at all, they're a bona fide top 25 team and could easily win the Big East. 50-1 seems really disrespectful to a team of that caliber. I think you sprinkle on it now, you could potentially get some great opportunities to hedge depending on how good they are, because I think they're a legit top 5 team in the country next year. Final category, some actual contenders. I've got 3 of these that I really believe in. Let's start with Houston, 16-1. I can see this team winning it all. I think they're going to be the best team in the country next year. They're waiting on a couple decisions, but the expectation is that Marcus Sasser and Tremont Mark could be back after the injuries that sidelined them for the season this last year. If they get those 2 back, plus Jamal Shed, who turned into an absolute superstar for them, plus Jarace Walker, the 5-star freshman, I don't think there's a more talented team in the country. I would trust Kelvin Sampson to take 5 guys from the local YMCA and turn them into a national contender at this point. But if you give him these guys with a little bit of quote-unquote redemption on their mind, they're going to play so hard. They're going to be so tough defensively. They're going to play a fun offensive style as well. I believe in them. I love the combination of Sasser, Mark, and Shed. Kind of reminds me of the Baylor backcourt that won it all last season. We'll see what happens, but 16-1, to me, of the group in the top 10, favorites for next year, Houston is by far the best value. Second up on this list, Kentucky, 12-1. The biggest thing here, I think they're going to get Oscar Tshiebwe back. I think he's going to come back. The National Player of the Year could be back with NIL. He's not a first-round type NBA draft guy, and they left with a bitter taste in their mouth. If they got him, plus Keon Brooks, plus Severe Wheeler, plus CJ Frederick, the Iowa transfer who didn't play last year, plus a couple five-star freshmen, top 10 freshmen in the country, Chris Livingston and Cason Wallace, plus the elephant in the room, Shaedon Sharpe. He would be a top 10 pick this year in the NBA draft if he goes. The rumor is he could be back. He declared for the draft without signing an agent, leaving the door open. If they have Tshiebwe and Shaedon Sharpe and all the other names I just mentioned, plus what is Calipari going to do in the transfer portal? He does it every year. He's magnificently landed star transfers in the past. There hasn't been a name this year yet because he's got to see where his roster falls. I believe that Kentucky could end up being the most talented team in the country yet again. 12-1. If Oscar Tshiebwe comes back, that's going to drop quickly. I'd get on it now. I am on it now, 12-1. Third team in this category, UCLA, 16-1. The bottom line here is they could get Tiger Campbell, Jaime Jaquez, and Johnny Juzang back. Even if they don't get Juzang back, though, I like Campbell. I like Jaquez. They have Final Four experience. They have a couple five stars coming in Amari Bailey and Adam Bona. Last year, UCLA was good. They weren't as good as Arizona. They kind of floated through the regular season, but they were still so close to making that magical run in March again. They ultimately lost to North Carolina in a back-and-forth game to the hottest team in the country at that time, the Tar Heels. UCLA, to me, is a bright lights team. Who knows what Juzang's going to do, but if they get that trio back, plus the 2 five stars, like they're automatically a top 5 team in the country. I think 16-1 is a little bit undervaluing this UCLA team. I trust Mick Cronin to just get it done with whoever he's got. And Tiger Campbell could be the best point guard in the country next season with the experience he brings, with the facilitation, with the scoring. So give me the Bruins, 16-1. I think that's worth sprinkling at this point in the offseason. That was my 10 best futures bets for the national championship in 2022-2023. If you like this video, please head over to the Main Sleepers YouTube channel page and subscribe. Give it a like, give it a comment. Anything helps the channel grow. We appreciate you watching. I will be back. I'm on Spotify Live 3 times a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the off-season. Carter and I will be dropping episodes of our series, The Starting 5, every Monday and Friday in the off-season as well. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.